Micah? Hello? Can you hear me?
That's right.
Can you hear me? Anybody in the chat able to hear? It's the wrong number.
Let us know if you can hear us in the chat. Just to make sure everything is working as it should.
Well, anyways. We just saw The Black Phone. Yep, okay, they say they can hear us. Good. We don't get the best reception of this thing. But sometimes you can hear something a little outside of this world. I'm Danny Knightmare.
I'm Gory Movie.
And we're Horror Addicts. So we're going to talk about The Black Phone tonight. A recent horror movie that just came out and we just saw. We'll do spoilers later. Try not to spoil right now. First of all, I like this movie. I had a great time. This might be my favorite horror movie of the year so far. Actually, I think it is.
It's my favorite of the year so far. After this, I really liked X, but so far this is the big standout for me as far as horror this year.
Yeah. Based off the Joe Hill short story.
Also called The Black Phone.
Black Phone.
From 20th Century Ghosts.
20th Century Ghosts, which was a really cool, collection of short stories that he did. Yeah, I was pretty stoked going into it, just knowing that I've read that and I enjoyed that story. And I feel like they captured the essence pretty well. Obviously, this is being a full-length movie. They added a lot of stuff that wasn't in the short story, but I liked pretty much all the choices that they made.
I want to shout out people who are watching with us. Deadly Spooky, hello. My buddy Maverick Media is here. Great channel. Christian Orr staying up way past their bedtime. And yeah, Scott Derrickson, I believe that's his name, also did Sinister. Did this. Do you like it more than Sinister or less or the same?
I didn't even know that when we went and saw it, but it made sense because there is some dream sequences in here that reminded me a lot of the videos that they watch in Sinister.
That reminded me of it. Plus, you have Ethan Hawke, who's in both of them, and the guy who plays Deputy So-and-so, who was also Eddie Kasprick as an adult in It Chapter 2. He's also in this movie.
Yeah, and the killer might not be... They reminded me a little bit of a ghoul. Obviously, they're different, but they reminded me a little bit.
I think Ethan Hawke is incredible in this as a serial killer. He is by far the standout. The children are also really great. I really love Sinister just because it was such a unique story, and it's so rare that I see a movie where the protagonists do everything right, everything that we would tell them to do, get out of the house, that kind of thing, and they still die. So yeah, I do enjoy Sinister more. But it's pretty fucking close. I did really enjoy this movie. The drama in it is great. The kids are really likable, good actors. It's a really good story. The only thing I was really disappointed by is there was a shot shown in the trailer, and so the kid has this progression. He's kidnapped, he's in this basement, and every day he gets another call from the previous victims of the grabber or the killer in this. And so, because I knew there was a shot in the trailer that hadn't happened yet, I knew he wasn't going to escape. And I wish they had done that a little bit differently. Maybe just grab from the early ones, because I knew the kid wasn't going to escape. I mean, I guess I could have looked at the runtime. Something that was really and yeah, no spoilers. We also have Rich from Movie Massacre, Evil Witch. Hey, nice to see you here. Ben is here, Ben Grimm. Evil Witch, check out my channel, Gory B Movie. I haven't seen you over there, so come check me out.
And High P.
Yes. But what I loved about this, I think one of the things I loved the most about it was I loved the mask. So the grabber, as you can see in the poster here, he has a mask and it comes down to about here. And then depending on the persona, I think that he's adopting, he has one that's more like theatrical and it has a big smiley face. This is the magician side of the character. And then he has one that's much more evil, stern, the one that punishes the naughty boys. That one has a frown.
He has a cool bowler hat that he sometimes wears too. But yeah, he's like a magician, and there's always like black balloons. So Pennywise would leave red balloons, he would leave black balloons.
Yeah, the black balloons are kind of like his calling card. Don't worry, we're not gonna give you any spoilers. I would say there's pretty good drama in this. I liked how it's nostalgic. It's set in the 70s. But like I saw in Chris Stuckman's review, I have to agree with that. Sometimes when you have movies set in a certain period of time, it will romanticize that time.
Yeah.
And it will make that time seem picturesque. And this movie doesn't do that.
No.
There's child abuse. There's bullies. You can tell outside of even having a serial killer, the people in this movie are under a lot of stress.
There's a lot of violence towards children in this movie, from other children, from parents, from, well, the killer, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of violence on children, so I don't know if everybody's going to be able to handle that.
I will say, as somebody who is triggered by violence towards children in movies, it was a bit triggering. There were some parts there where I was definitely holding my breath, really anxious. But I enjoyed the movie. I mean, that's what the movie's trying to do. It's trying to make you anxious. It's trying to upset you. It's trying to make you uncomfortable. And it absolutely did that for me. But if that doesn't sound like something that you want to experience, if you can't handle child abuse, abuse from a parent towards a child, children on children violence, like bullying, pretty severe bullying, this is not the movie for you.
It actually kind of gave me some memories of me and my sister back in the day scrapping with other people.
I love the brother-sister relationship in this.
They are great. I almost got like a small hint, not obviously because this girl is a very lovely girl in a sense, but she still like kind of reminded me of the girl from PG Gorman, but like toned down and had, a good side to her.
I didn't quite get that.
When she calls the cops fart knockers and stuff, I kind of got it.
A little bit.
Plus she's, tough like her, but not that girl. That one was like the one in PG Gorman's. I'd say evil, even though she is like antagonist.
The movie is paced, I thought, really well because you have this ongoing tension. You also know pretty early on that there's something unusual going on with the grabber, where things are not as they have been with previous victims. So you're really rooting for this kid. You're really hoping that the spirits on the phone, something is going to work out. You're hoping. And Joe Hill is the son of Stephen King. And there is a little bit of like Stephen King's universe in here. Children with The Shining. The Shining is kind of a psychic ability where people can see the dead or they might have premonitions. And the children in this movie, a couple of them, have a bit of the shine.
Yeah, it seems like it. You learn that pretty early on. Not to be confused with Jonah Hill, obviously. Oh, but yeah, Joe, I think they did a good job. I like the director. Like you said, he did Sinister, and it really shows. They did justice to the short story, and the acting was great by everyone. The adults, the kids. That the kids, the way they talk to each other, it's not quite as like R-rated, I guess, is the It movie remakes recently. But they still like they say some funny stuff.
And I like that the kids have their own motivations. One of the kids wants the kid who's kidnapped to defeat the grabber as like vengeance for themselves, like avenge me. Another kid is just fucking angry. He's like, this is not about you. This is because something horrible happened to me, and fuck that guy. I hate him more than anything else right now. So I'm gonna help you because I fucking hate him. So yeah, some of them are benevolent. They're trying to help. Some of the it's but these souls are tortured. They can't even remember their names. So it's really tragic. It's really sad.
Excuse me.
You got a couple good comments there in the chat.
Movie Massacre says he likes violence towards kids in a film because it'll let you know that there's no boundaries, and when it comes to the shocks and scares, yeah, this movie does not pull punches. I'd say that much. I wouldn't say it's the most like graphic or horrific thing I've ever seen by any means, but it hits you as hard as it wants to. That's for sure. Have I seen Baby Oopsie yet? No,
I
the
want
spinoff.
to see it though.
Monsterface is mad at me and doesn't want to see it because he's mad what they've done.
Because he's
with
a dick.
Okay, Monsterface had a huge crush on Baby Oopsie in the
That's
original
disgusting.
Demonic Toys when she was, dick stabbing Killer Doll. But then in Doll Man versus Demonic Toys, Baby Oopsie changed genders and became rapey. And Monsterface.
Very rapey.
Yeah, very rapey. And Monsterface wasn't happy about that. So he's conflicted on which Baby Oopsie they're going to go with in this movie. So I don't know. I definitely need to see it and find out for myself. And I do hopefully will have some full moon reviews coming up soon. I'm actually working on an Evil Bong 3 right now, so
Rich wants to know, is it scary?
It's very tense.
It's very suspenseful, I would say. It's very tense. A lot of misdirection where you think you know what's going on, you think you know what's happening, and then that's not what's happening. You definitely are on the edge of your seat with hoping that this kid gets out, because this kid's great. It's a kid it's easy to identify with. It's easy to sympathize with. I think you really will root for him to get out, but obviously you know that the grabber has their own plans, and you don't know when the grabber's going to call it good and kill the kid. And people are looking for the kid too. So that part is definitely suspense. As far as actual scares, the grabber himself, I think this is one of Ethan Hawke's best performances. He is very good at both doing like this theatrical, like magician character, but also being this very no bullshit kind of disciplinary character.
Yeah, and he's always creepy regardless what mood he's in. Like sometimes he's like, "Oh, I just want to look at you and watch you move." That's very creepy and scary in its own way. And then sometimes he's like, he almost lures you into traps mentally so he can punish you physically.
And the mask and everything has different iterations. Sometimes he's got the hat, sometimes there's no hat, and there's horns. Sometimes it's the frown, sometimes it's the smile. So you get lots of different looks. I think it's a really cool character in that regard. I don't think it's a slow burn. It moves at a pretty even pace. As far as sequel potential, I mean, honestly, I feel like, especially Blumhouse, whenever something makes money, they find a way.
Yeah. And the fact that there is like a kid pretty much trapped in this room for most of the movie, it does move, like you said, because there's flashbacks. There's also other kids that are not in the room. And like I said, there's a lot of violence, not just involving the grabber. So action happens like throughout the whole movie.
There's an abusive parent. There are pretty nasty bullies at the school. And a really good, strong brother-sister relationship. And both of them have a bit of what Stephen King would call the shine.
Yeah. You're rooting for them.
Essentially, you find out, and I don't think this is giving away too much, but in Stephen King, they're psychic characters. And so his sister, even before he's kidnapped, she's having these dreams about the kids who were kidnapped. And she gets in a bit of trouble because her mother killed herself. And the father thinks it's about the mother's psychic abilities, and so he doesn't want her paying attention to this stuff. So he beats it basically out of her to have her say that it's not happening.
Her relationship with her dead mother kind of reminded me a little bit of the story that was in Last Night in Soho. Like
A little bit, yeah.
there was like a little bit of seeing premonitions, and the mom had it too, and I think she also killed herself.
And then again, I don't think it's giving away too much, but you find out that this phone, this disconnected old landline phone, has always rung. And I guess the grabber, the Ethan Hawke character, hears it, but he pretends that he doesn't hear it. So he's got a bit of the shine.
Yeah, he refuses to listen to it.
But
well, I think it's mostly because of guilt and stuff. But he does say that he's heard it go off because static electricity. But I think he knows that it's something more than that.
yeah, Finn, the kid who's kidnapped, is the first one who's actually heard the phone and answers it and is able to get help.
Well, anyways, strong acting, strong suspense, good story. I'm gonna have to say, I think you should see it. And if you're okay with being able to sit through violence on children, you should see it in theaters because I think it's a good way to experience the atmosphere of it. But if you probably can't handle that, maybe wait till you can stream it or get it, because that way you would have like a safe place to like turn on the lights and do something fun for a little bit if you got too much for you. Other than that, I definitely still think you should see it regardless. I definitely see it.
Absolutely want to see Ethan Hawke do more horror. Incredible and Sinister, incredible in The Purge, but this is by far his best horror role. I want to see him do more horror villains.
Yeah.
Because this villain is incredibly intriguing. I also like the guy who played Eddie Kaspbrak in it, Chapter 2. He has a small role in this. Just a joy to see him on screen when he is on screen. Both the kids in this are fantastic, but Ethan Hawke really steals the show here. He is mesmerizing. He's captivating. He's scary. He's complicated.
I think we have a pretty good iconic villain on our hands.
Absolutely. I think if they can find a way to get another movie out of this character, I would see it for sure. Absolutely. I really like this character.
Yeah. In fact, actually, my rating is probably an own it. So
it's probably my favorite masked character since maybe of the new ones, since maybe the Collector.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get into spoiler content. So, you're being warned. If you haven't seen it, I totally understand if you want to opt out now, because we will probably talk some spoilers. So, you guys still there? If you're gone, all right. Kids die. Kids do die in this. But I guess we'll leave the big spoiler here. Is he a supernatural character? Okay. Not necessarily. No. He is pretty much a human. He might have.
He does have the shining.
He does hear the ghosts a little bit.
You also have to keep in mind that Joe Hill has his own universe. He does borrow his dad's universe, the Stephen King verse. He mentions it a lot in his books. But there's a lock and key thing that's unique to Joe Hill. It's in Horns. It's in all his books where there's certain unique, powerful objects as in Nosferatu. There's also traveling places like the bridge in Nosferatu. And this phone seems to be one of those kind of special artifacts.
Yeah, I think
it actually pulses.
I think it's kind of basically a phone to the dead. There's so many kids that have died in this room. Why is the kid complaining? He's got a big room, his own bed, his own window, his own bathroom, a cool lock on the door. Yeah,
queen size bed,
huge room, lock on his door. Gets fed.
So you're saying you have
Scrambled
a bed?
eggs.
It reminds me of the Deadpool thing. You know how they're like, so you're saying you have a window?
Yeah.
And I will say, I think it's kind of cool how they keep it mysterious. We never fully understand why he takes the kids. I mean, his brother, the guy who played Deputy So-and-so, he's there and he seems fine. He actually wants to help the kids catch the killer, or help the kid. He wants to help the cops catch the killer. So it's not necessarily a nurture thing with this guy. So how did he get bent?
I don't know, but he is.
We'll say one major change from the short story to the movie is in the short story he's a clown. And I think they might have changed that to just separate anything from like Pennywise or also some of the creepy clown stuff in the media.
Yeah, this they went more magician mime, but he well, I know how he gets his ankle bent. He's definitely messed up in the head too, though. And his brother, who's out of town, staying with him, and he has like this whole board where he's pinning the locations of where the kids were taken. And he's like, the cops show up. And he's like, "Yeah, let's talk about it. I'm on the case. I'm gonna help you guys."
And it's so funny because the whole movie, he's like, he's got to be right in this area, and he's got it pinpointed, but he just doesn't know yet. You've got the right area. He's literally below your feet.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, I kind of figured that out pretty soon, but it's kind of that dramatic irony. I think you're supposed to figure it out. I think you're supposed to be like, "Oh my god, dude!
Yeah.
Dude, look in the basement!"
And then there's this very tense scene with him going down there, but Finn is ready to fight. And you're like, "Oh no, Finn, you're going to hit the wrong guy that coming through the door." And it might not be exactly what happens, but it still does not end well.
Bye
Max.
now. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Appreciate it.
I don't have a lot of spoilers, though.
Other than they do get him. Finn survives. He fights back. Basically.
So with them killing the character at the end, do you think they could do a spoiler?
Sequel, you mean?
Sequel, yes, or prequel.
Yeah. Honestly, I think they could because they're ghosts in this universe.
Well, there are ghosts in this universe, so I think you could always bring him.
You could bring him back as a ghost.
As a supernatural character, I absolutely think you could do that. So you could even do one set in like the 80s or the 90s or even modern day with this character as a supernatural character. In fact, you could have him even calling his would-be victims on the phone.
Exactly. That you could still use this character in different settings. You'd have to tweak, obviously, how he's doing it as a ghost, but I think you could still have more. Even if it is a one and done, I think he's pretty iconic. I won't be forgetting him anytime soon.
How do you think it compares to the original story?
It does have a standout score, Movie Massacre. I thought it was great. The original story, I think how it compares, it does it justice. It's just as good, but a little better because there's more to it. Like you get more on with the sister, and you get a lot of bully violence you didn't get in the short story. That's for sure.
I do think someone mentioned a prequel of how he became the grabber. That could be interesting because I really don't understand why he does it. He has this thing with punishing the naughty boy, so it almost makes me wonder if he was like molested by somebody outside of the family.
Who knows? At least beat as a child, I'm assuming. That's why they like most killers. They want to have power they didn't experience when they were younger.
I mean, even the brother, in a sense, wants that. He wants they want notoriety, and the brother wants fame. He wants to work with the cops and help them solve the case. So there's something going on there, like some kind of neglect or something that might have exasperated an already,
I'm gonna assume the dad was abusive and the mom was neglectful, but that's just me. He also owns 2 houses, so he's fairly successful as a person outside of what he's doing.
Well, unless he inherited them. Did you guess that they were in the wrong house?
I figured something was gonna happen with that. Either the timing would be different. Like maybe Finn already left.
When they got in the house and you could see that it was empty and it looked totally different because we've seen the living room before, I was like, that's not the right house. Yeah. I didn't realize it was across the street, but I did get kind of a vibe like from the end of Buried where they're digging up the hole and you realize,
it's the guy we said we unburied.
You can't hear it.
Yeah.
So they're at the wrong place. That second beforehand when you realize that they're not there.
Yeah, actually, and the movie told me that he owns both houses, but before it said that, and they were like going into the house, I'm like, why did she have like a vision of the pinball kid going to there, like on his own? I thought it was just gonna be his house, the pinball kid's house, but I figured maybe the bodies were still there. Like since I thought the pinball kid he died or went missing. His parents sold the house and left, and he was just. Maybe, I guess he did buy it, and he, like, knew that the house was empty, so that's where he was hiding the bodies. But I guess he bought the house, which I guess he technically could have bought the pinball kid's house after he killed him.
I don't know.
That part, I guess, is still possible. Because it just showed in her little vision that the cops were dropping him off there. It's like, why would they drop him off there? I figured it must have once belonged to him.
Well, I'm going to say it's definitely worth owning. So that's my rating for it. I'm going to give it an own it. I give it...
An own it. See it in theaters if you can.
3.5 to 4 stars out of 5. Really good movie. Really good. I still like Sinister more, but definitely I like this more than Sinister 2. So far, this is my favorite movie of the year. It's a great film.
And I did like Sinister 2. I just didn't like it as much.
I like Sinister 2 a lot, too.
But the original's better, and this I would say is better. I need to see this a couple more times before I really know if I like it less or more than Sinister, but it's definitely right up there.
And I think Scott Derrickson, the director, is really good with pacing. Like, there's a part where you know the kid's gonna get kidnapped, but he still managed to surprise me by how quickly it escalated. Did not expect it to escalate that quickly. And if you like the shots of like the home videotapes from Sinister, there's some cool shots in this that you're gonna like.
Yeah, her dreams are basically in that same type of film style, so it's great.
Yeah, the killer in this, he has a thing with punishing naughty boys. I don't know if it's necessarily sexual. I feel like it's like a control thing.
I think he might get off to the control of it. I don't think he's getting off to sex of it.
Like how he leaves the door intentionally open.
Yeah.
It's like he's controlling the situation. Even when his brother dies, he's like, he was an idiot, but he was my idiot.
Yeah.
Like, this need to be in control of everything.
Maybe he should have let his brother stay over at the other house, but then again, that's where the bodies probably stunk, so. Oh, I enjoyed it. I recommend it, and that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Check it out. Your vote is your dollar, so.
Absolutely.
If you want them to keep making movies like horror and having them come out to theaters with big budgets, you got to go see them. Pretty much all I got to say.
I agree. Check this one in the theater if you can. I think the next one we're probably going to go check out is Nope.
Yep. And also check out 20th Century Ghost Stories or whatever it is by Joe Hill.
It's a collection of short stories. There's some really cool ones in there. I think
Pop Art was
my favorite. Yeah.
Pop Art is not even a horror one. It's just about this kid who's a balloon. Like, there's just balloon people.
Yeah.
Almost like Wacky Wave inflatable people, but alive, and yeah, they can literally pop. There's a good short film on YouTube somewhere. It's not canon, I guess, or official, but it's still good.
And not horror, but we love the Beavis and Butthead movie.
Oh yeah, we saw that the other night too. So boom. Thanks, Fairpoint Station.
Thank you so much.
Not listening to spoilers, but I'm glad to see the screen.
Keep up the great work. No.
Well, we're wrapping it up, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And we have an unboxing coming, and I have a full moon review coming as well.
And check me out over on my channel.
Doing lots of streams over there. She has a cool death battle. We just did Final People and Demons.
So youtube.com/Gory the movie. We got streams every Sunday and lots of other fun stuff on the way.
All right. Oh, I'm glad you're excited, Naked HD. Yeah, I know. All right. It's for you. You can do it with that. Cut!